Yes, I did it! Hello, Conservatives. It's me, Anthony Albanese. I've taken control of your press conference the same way I took over the country, with very little support. So forget CPAC, it's time for my own political conference. Get ready for Albanese CPAC. Haha, that's right, and unlike The Voice, I'm happy to share all the details. We've got some incredible guest speakers. Greta Thunberg.
We are all going to die!
President Joe Biden.
Smells so good, come on!
And one of the country's most powerful orators, Linda Burney. And unlike other political conferences that only offer one welcome to country, we're going to be doing one every 5 minutes. But the fun doesn't stop there. Why not have a jump on the Jim Chalmers jumping castle? Okay, Jim, you can stop inflating it now, Jim. Jim, careful now, it's very highly inflated, Jim. Please, Jim, stop it, please. But you better get in quick, because it's going to be jam-packed. And I don't mean that figuratively. I'm opening up the gates for 400,000 immigrants to come through as well. So it's going to be dangerously full. But if it all gets too much, why not head down to the relaxation area where you can get yourself a free Thai massage? I know I will. And make sure you grab a show bag on your way out. You can get yourself some postal votes. This nice treaty shirt. And of course, a copy of the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full. One page. Just one.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. Well, you won't be getting a welcome to country out of me, so anyway, don't expect it, but I will acknowledge the men and women that have fought and sacrificed their lives for our freedom, for our country, and for what we have today. So to those men and women, I do acknowledge them. Well, what do you think about the cartoon? You think we nailed it with Albanese's voice? Characteristics? I think we do. And, well, it's been fantastic. And I was here yesterday, and this is my first CPAC event. And it's been absolutely wonderful listening to the different speakers. And I'm so pleased to see such a strong audience of Conservatives. Maybe there's a few sprinkled here with Labor, and they're actually learning what it's about to be, you know, patriotic, love your country, stand up against for the real family values. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for the invitation to be here this weekend. It's been such a pleasure meeting many of you yesterday and, of course, last night at the dinner. I thought it was quite telling how much work Conservatives need to do to engage with young voters when Vernon Jones asked the young attendees to stand up yesterday. But with that said, I do want to thank the tremendous number of young people who are volunteering this weekend. Thank you. It's never cheap putting on these events in such a prestigious setting as this, and I have no doubt ticket prices would have been doubled if we didn't have the support of the young Conservative volunteers, so thank you guys. Engaging Australia's young people, exactly what I've focused my discussion on today. How many of you have followed the Please Explain cartoon series over the last 2 years? Oh, wow. I'm impressed. That's great. See, well, the series is by far the boldest campaign strategy One Nation has ever implemented. And I say bold because the concept was either going to sink or swim, and potentially have me deplatformed for some of the touchy subject matters that we cover. And I still remember getting the call from my chief of staff who developed the series. If you don't know, that's James Ashby. So we worked together for over 8 years now. Very proud of him and his work, and he does keep me on my toes, I can tell you. He said, Pauline, We're going to produce a satirical political cartoon series. You're going to voice your own character, and we'll fund it by selling grog. That's the short version. But the strategy behind the series is what's critical to why Please Explain was created, but more importantly, why it succeeded. You see, as Conservatives, we don't typically do a very good job of engaging young voters. I know it's a criticism of our side of politics, but unless we're prepared to be honest with ourselves, we'll never overcome our opposition. And our greatest problem is that the left do an exceptional job at engaging with young voters. They do it through their members who are teachers, lecturers, trade reps, nurses, and other union-led industries. And then they corner groups like the alphabet people, the trans movement, environmental groups, and Aboriginal bodies, and then condition them to socialist ideas. And let's face it, we've all been young, we've all been impressionable, and sadly our young people are being hijacked by the left, making it difficult to bring them back until they either start a business, have a family of their own, have to deal with bureaucracy, start buying assets of their own, or live in the real world away from the safety net of mum and dad. And so the pitch behind the Please Explain animated series had two objectives. It had to be both satirical and educational. It had to tap into that 18 to 35 demographic. In other words, we wanted to target those younger voters who are probably more engaged in social media than the 6 o'clock news. And behind every episode, the goal was to lace the messaging with factual issues that are plaguing our parliament, which is then impacting on society or vice versa. But what surprised us is the fact that the series has exceeded our demographic reach of 18 to 35s and instead appeals to people of all ages and what I like to call a young at heart sense of humour. And as we've discovered when we produce each week's episode, there's never any shortage of content. Every Monday for between 2 and 3 hours, the guys have their video conference hook up and thrash it out about the hot politics, topics of the week or the day before, and along with the issues One Nation see as important. To give you a few examples, we've touched on subjects that Labor and the Coalition typically won't touch or are too afraid to even discuss. I was quite pleased following our controversial NDIS episode, we forced a conversation out of Labor on the outrageous and unaccountable spending within the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Sadly, it's expected to cost you and every other taxpayer around $90 billion a year within 10 years. We've done episodes on Labor and some coalition wets who defended the use of puberty blockers for kids under the age of 18 who are going through the confusing stage of adolescence. But I take my hat off to people like Alex Antic. Hi Alex, if you're here. Who have had the courage to support me on attempting to get an inquiry into gender dysphoria. Three times I've tried to get it up to have a Senate inquiry into it, and the wets on the Libs have actually opposed it and voted with Labor and the Greens, and Doormat Dave, who's in the chamber. But anyway, it takes guts to cross the floor and vote against colleagues, so thank you, Alex. We've covered a few controversial episodes of The Voice to Parliament where the Prime Minister self-identifies as an elbow original. And even an episode on the Higgins case. I swore that elbow original line was going to land me in another 18C case. And one of my favourite episodes was on Labor's relationship with China. Well, let me show you that episode. So let's roll the tape, please.
Nice work on that submarine deal, Albo.
Oh, thanks, Richo. Nuclear. Good Good decision. 368 billion well spent.
Thanks, guys. Wow, looks like I've finally done something right for once.
You out of your bloody mind? Have you gone bloody troppo or something?
Ex-Prime Minister Paul Keating, what did I do?
Follow me. Move it. Buying those subs is single-handedly the worst decision a Labor government's ever made. And that's bloody saying something.
I don't know. Everyone seems pretty happy about it, Paul.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, you've really pissed her off.
Who's she? Miss Senator Hanson?
What? No, she's been pushing for nuclear subs for years. No, you've pissed off the big red dragon.
Ah!
Hey, calm down, you goose. That's not how you greet her. You've got to bow down to her. Like this. Bend the knee, mate. Oh, see? I think she likes you.
Oh, well, that's great. Paul, I'm just gonna go now.
What? You can't go. All Prime Ministers after me have had to deal with her. And now it's your turn.
Well, she does seem awfully threatening.
No, she's not a threat. All you gotta do is whatever she wants. Or she'll huff and she'll puff and she'll blow the country up. Won't you, darling? Oh, and you gotta keep her well fed.
Oh, well, what does she eat?
Ah, the usual, you know. Iron ore, coal, natural gas, beef, bit of dairy, wine, wool, copper, precious stones.
But Paul, that's most of our exports.
Oh, yeah. We're completely economically dependent on her, mate. Yeah, we also outsource all our manufacturing to her.
Oh, but isn't that bad for Australian industry?
It's devastating to our economy, but that's a small price to pay for appearing to care about climate change.
Ah, is that a drone?
Oh, yeah, she'll spy on you, that's for sure. Yeah, she's got cameras set up everywhere. She'll go through your phone. You got TikTok?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, she knows everything about you now then. Yeah, she loves data. Almost as much as she loves real estate. Come on, why don't you cozy on up with her?
I don't know if I'm really that comfortable yet, Paul.
You got nothing to worry about. She wouldn't hurt a fly. Unless that flies in Taiwan or the South China Sea. But she's a softie on the inside, I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
And why don't you suck on that teat while you're there?
Really?
Yeah, go on. Everyone's doing it. It's feeding time.
We ready to go? You'll love it, Elbow.
A lot of politicians come down here for a little suck. Come on, mate. Let's tuck in.
Okay. It's actually quite nice.
It's good to hear you have a laugh. We all need to have a laugh, don't we? And the trouble is, people say it's you're having a laugh, but it's so true as well, and that's hard. I would love to be a fly on the wall with Anthony Albanese's office every Friday morning, wouldn't you? Just see what's happening. Anyway, just to tell you this, we went to the ball anyway. We had one of the animators, it's his company that does it, and took him up to meet Penny Wong, and James said, "Oh, Penny, I would like to meet Mark, and he does the cartoons." Well, she was very pleasant, ready to shake his hand. As soon as he said he does the cartoons, well, she turned her back on him. And one of the other libs at the table said, "What happened there?" He said, one minute she was all lovely and sweet and kind, next minute she turns her back and walks away, gives him a cold shoulder. I don't think she likes our series. So the political landscape is such fertile ground for satire, and the way we've blended subconscious learning with comedy is like baking a lasagna laced with concealed vegetables. And it's quite funny how many senators have come up to me over this past year or so to speak when they're going to feature in the series, and I remind them, you know, they come up to me and say, "Oh, love the series. Are you going to actually, can I go in it?" And I said, "You're going to be..." I said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "If I put you in the series, you know I'm going to take the piss out of you, don't you?" So anyway, Alex Antic, the answer is still no, mate. I still want you to cross the floor for me. Plus, I'd have to draw attention to those, sorry to say it, chicken legs of yours, so I'd have to put it in an upcoming series. So anyway, it's a joke between Alex and I. You might want to ask him what I mean by that. So, why it is important that we engage with our younger voters using satire and viral online content? Well, the truth is, young men in that 18 to 20-year-old demographic spend roughly 528 minutes a week on social media. That's almost 9 hours a week on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter or X, and they're bombarded with so much lefty content. But even more surprising is the consumption of social media by young women. They're on social media for 822 minutes a week. That's almost 14 hours. So if we're not producing content that grabs the attention of young people, they fall deeper and deeper into the grip of the socialist left, who are posting emotional and factual incorrect videos. So this is where it's important that we push back and just hope that critical thinking kicks in and they start questioning what they've learned elsewhere. Now, when we started working with the animation studio in Melbourne called Stepmates, by the way, I was told they had a number of lefties working on the production side of the series. Well, it was by episode 4 when we broke down excise, tax and death duties in one of these cartoons that we flipped a switch in these guys' minds. They had no idea that the Greens promoted death duties and that many Labor MPs had spruiked the idea too. Well, the idea of losing 50% of their family's assets upon death made them wake up pretty quickly to what Labor and the Greens truly stand for, and I'm convinced they can now see the value of this type of educational material. To give you some idea of combined views each week, each episode can reach in excess of 1 million views here in Australia alone. So it is remarkable the reach that we do get. Would you like to go behind the scenes and see how it's all put together? Okay, roll the tape.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Albanese. I might not like giving any details or information about any of my policies, but let me tell you exactly how an episode of Please Explain gets made. It all starts with an idea, and then the boys bash away at a keyboard until they have a script. And then the characters will get designed. This year I got a little makeover. Lost a few kilos, rolled up the sleeves, got a little bit of Botox. Geez, I'm looking good, eh? And then it's off to make the storyboard and do the voices.
Hey, Albo.
Yes?
I'll put you down as my number 2 if you put me down as your number 2.
Oh, sure, absolutely, Adam Band. You can always count on me.
Boy, Scotty, chuck us down as your number 2 and I'll chuck you down as my number 2.
Yeah, no dramas, mate, no worries.
Oi, Albo. Yes, Scott?
You and Adam sharing preferences, just like you share bodily fluids.
Yes? Hey, I don't sound anything like that. And then it's time to start animating. You know, the characters are rigged up into little puppets, you see? Each character is basically given a little digital skeleton so the team can animate really fast. Hang on, look at that. This cartoon version of me has a backbone. And then it's all put together, edited and exported and then delivered to the good folks at One Nation just in time to upload it to the internet for the world to enjoy. And unlike anything that the Labor government does, the boys deliver the cartoon every single week on time and on budget. But that I have no idea how they do.
Well, you've picked up in the clip that one fellow, Mark. Hi, Mark and Sebastian. I know that you're watching this. They've been a fantastic team to work with, and Mark does 99% of the video voiceovers. You're not having my job, Mark, okay? That's it, I'm doing my own. No one can have a voice like this, I can tell you. Can I say I'm extremely proud of the support the public offer us with the backing of the series. You have no idea, and it's great. Last year we sold 5,000 bottles of gin in 6 weeks to fund the 25 episodes prior to the federal election. And then I was pulled up at airports on planes and the guy turns around his seat, he said, when are you bringing back the cartoons again? He said, we need the cartoons. So then James put his head together, wonderful James, sell more grog. So anyway, that's where it is. So we've actually got, you know, we fund it through the Facebook website, selling stubby coolers, whatever we can to actually fundraise for this. And we had a great dinner last night, and we've actually auctioned off a series where people can actually fund a series, and they can actually put their storyline and be part of the series in it. So not the series, one episode, only one episode. So that's gone really well. Without the merchandise and the rum sales, we simply wouldn't be able to produce such a high quality series produced here in Australia, which is great. And So we do all have a role to do in speaking out about conservative values with our young voters. They're our grandkids, our nieces, our nephews, and our sons and daughters. It's about their future. It must be involved and engaged in politics, and that's what we must do. Keep an eye on them, especially if they go to the universities, because there's my main concern, because they're not taught critical thinking. I also, before I wrap up, I've spoken today about the cartoon series, and I think it's really touched a lot of people to actually take more of an interest in politics, especially the young ones, and the message is getting out there. But on top of all this, I'm very proud and passionate about my job. I love my country, I respect my fellow Australians, and I believe that you have to be upfront with what you say and what you do on the floor of Parliament. And I've always been that way. Maybe I'm a little bit rough around the edges, maybe I say it, probably a little bit too directly to what you want to hear, but even my own kids say, "Mum, can you say it a little bit different?" I said, "Fine. Which politician do you want me to sound like?" I've had my ups and downs, and as you know, I've been to prison for my politics, and I've come back, but it's very important for you to know that is the heart of our democracy. That's where, to have the responsibility to have your say and fight for the Australian people. So all those important issues, whether it be the dairy farmers, Bruce and Ellen who came here today, from Victoria, whether it be the family law courts, gender dysphoria, Aboriginal corruption that's going on, the voice, and all this other rubbish, is that we have to stand up and fight for what we believe in and be true to ourselves, and I know that I can always do that, and I'll hold my head high. You may not always agree with everything that I say, but it's said with passion, and I believe in my country. And just before I finish, I just want to say a big thank you to ADH-TV and Sky News. They are basically the last of the conservative values that are being heard and put out there for us to have an idea of both sides. And if it's my way, I'd get rid of ABC. Cut them. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, how good is Pauline Hanson? And what a way to start CPAC Australia Day 2.